Welcome to this week's edition of the DC Life Uncensored. I'm your host, Sal Mika. Got my co-host, Mike Franco. And we got our third wheel, Mr. Sal Gomez of Gomez PhotoWorks. And we're going to be talking, we're going to do a round table is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about Rumble at Route 66, on Route 66, whatever the event was called. It happened this past weekend at 66 Casino. It was interesting. It was inside the Legends Theater. I actually sat in the fan zone. I was second row. It was nice, you know. It was different. I haven't done that in a long time. I try to think of the last time I've been to an actual fight, sitting down, sober, not drinking, not walking around, not even paying attention to the fights, but actually sitting and watching the fights. The crowd is ridiculous.
New Mexico crowds are wild.
Yeah, the more drinks they get in them, the more they become experts, and that's kind of fucking dumb.
State, man.
Well, let me tell you, when you don't know what the fuck you're saying, you should shut the fuck up.
Oh.
And that's the honest truth. Because let me tell you, there's so many times that these guys were in different positions. When Adrian got choked and he was in side control, Adrian's not going to get choked out by that. And people are like, oh, he's almost done. No, he's not, you stupid motherfucker. Shut up. You don't even know what you're talking about. You drunk bastard. Go get another beer.
Sal's experience makes me happy to be cage side.
You know, it isn't a good feeling to be out there. I mean, it was okay. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, there was funny moments. And I'll touch on my most memorable moment. And of course, it involved somebody that was shit-faced drunk out in the crowd and stuff. But it was funny. Overall, let's start off. What did you think of the event?
I had fun. It was an unevenly matched at some points event. It had its high moments. It had its entertainment factor. For entertainment, it was good. For a fight card, it wasn't. I'd go, it's a C as a card as a whole. Something for them to build on. I know there was a lot of late replacements. Every promoter has the problem of filling out a fight card, and they ran into that one head on here with this event, and it left something to be desired.
Who were the late replacements? I didn't know they had late replacements. I thought this was a set in stone.
Muhammad Abdullah
took
the fight against Frank Lester. That was 6 to 8 days notice, maybe a week or so, because he had just signed the contract the day I posted an interview with Frank Lester, which was prior to the fight week, that Lester had just found out it was Abdullah. It was originally Mike Jasper from California. That was a late replacement. And then also Donald Sanchez's fight came together on, I believe, about 10 days, maybe 12 days. There were several different options and nothing stuck. So those two were definitely late putting together.
Sal Gomez, you're the guy that shoots all the photos around town for all the fighters and does a couple weddings here and there as well, even though your pet peeve of weddings are ridiculous. And anybody that's on social media, find Sal Gomez on there.
If you need a laugh,
be his
friend.
You can see some crazy post about him and his wedding shenanigans. But what did you think overall of the card?
Overall, I'd give it a C+, a low B. I think, honestly, the production side of it could have went a lot smoother. The announcer seemed quite a bit lost at times, and the DJ wasn't watching his cues. But aside from that, I was entertained. So,
I also had to teach the ring announcer the weight classes at the weigh-in, which Sal was laughing at me for because he was announcing everything a weight class higher than what it was supposed to be.
Is he an experienced announcer? I've never seen him around.
That was my first experience with him, and it was memorable.
So it's a hard thing. I mean, you could always get the wild and obnoxious ones, and those ones, you know, we have a few of those here in town and out of town, and it's not easy getting out there and going in front of the bright lights and seeing the people. I mean, the estimated crowd was 1,600, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
So I would give the event C-, C. Just because of some of the matchups, the professional side. The amateur side, you know, you can't get mad at it. It was Nate Armstrong 2-2, Julio Zapata 0-0. You know, for the most part.
And Nate was also, I don't think he'd competed in over a year.
Yeah,
he was coming off a while on the sidelines.
He's been out for a while. He goes to school at UNM and he's concentrating. Didn't we see
Nate fight a couple?
We've seen him fight 4 times, but
Yeah,
it hasn't
but
been
it
recently.
hasn't been recently.
It's been a couple years.
And then the other amateur fight. I mean, two guys 0-0 starting out their MMA, I guess, career on the amateur side at 170. You know,
with Craig Carter, though, we did learn of a new gym, X-Pac Fit MMA. I don't know if that's something they just came up with or who that is.
Well, it's not even X-Pac Fit MMA. It's X-Pac Fitness.
Oh, X-Pac Fitness.
Are they WWE fans? Or no, that was
Yeah, that was the wrong group. WCW. I think.
WCW. There you go.
You're gonna get him excited. WrestleMania was last night.
Oh,
you know what I did last night?
This guy's gonna go crazy. If you ever want to do something harmful to Micah, just find out when a WWE pay-per-view is, and he's home. He's home watching it. You can find him right there or anything.
May 8th, Santa Ana Star Center. I already got my tickets.
Oh, are they coming?
Oh, yeah, they're coming.
Who's coming?
WWE. WWE live event, the Santa Ana Star Center, May 8th. I'll see you guys there.
Oh, no.
Okay,
I know Sal and the kids will
Forget
be
about
there too.
MMA now.
Let's go back. Let's backtrack. The event overall, I'll give it like I said, a C to C minus. Again, the matchups I didn't really care for, but I do understand the other side of it. Like you said, Micah, it's hard when guys fall off, when guys everybody wants to fight until you put a fight in front of them, and then a million excuses come out. It's either the money, they're training. Oh, I like this.
I've
person.
trained with this
I
guy
like
before.
This guy.
We're from the same state.
Yeah.
We should be fighting on a bigger stage. There's so many excuses.
So you hear the bullshit after, but I'll fight anybody.
But I'll fight anybody.
No, you won't.
Except for those 20, 30 guys that we brought to you. So there's those kind of things. But the pro card started off with Cody Hofstadter, Russell Wilson. It was 0-3 versus 3-3. Surprisingly, Cody with the excellent grappling got the rear naked choke. Quite surprising to see that one go down as fast as it did.
That would probably be the most surprising fight of the night, in my opinion, just because I've seen Russell fight. I know he's been out for a while. Again, he's been gone for a while. Yeah, it wasn't fresh. But then again, I look at the weight class, 145 pounds.
Probably Russell should stay at 135.
Absolutely.
Again, I think this is a fight 3 or 4 weeks notice, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that part of bad matchmaking, or was it just having the difficult time of finding fights? Who knows? You know, I hear Matthew Chavis is the one that actually put the card together for Fresquez and Doris, and you got to get what you can. You know what I mean? You got to get what you can, and he did the best job he could possibly do. But you know, with that fight, I was shocked at how easily, because Russell's a wrestler. He controlled the wrestler. The BJJ player controlled the wrestler.
And it's not like Russell doesn't have any BJJ. Trained with Josh Lanier for a long time.
He's
with Coach Luttrell
and now. He's with Luttrell learning the MMA, jiu-jitsu, and grappling and stuff like that. And
he got worked.
Yeah. So
that was impressive.
It was very, very impressive on that end. Let's go ahead. Adrian Cruz
took down Cormier.
Ortiz.
When Cruz got the fight to the ground, they gave each other some blows on the striking and the stand-up. Cruz got to the ground and dominated with elbows. He was doing a great job from side control. Thought he was going to get the fight stopped in the first. Giant cut over Corey Ortiz's left eye. Ortiz got the sweep, had a guillotine at the end of the first, a power guillotine, looked tight, but not enough time. In the second round, they got back to the ground, and Cruz finally punched to the stoppage.
Yeah, most surprising thought coming in my brain looking at the fight was, is Cruz still injured?
Still injured. He does not look comfortable on the leg. And his first 2 opponents have targeted the leg. He still looks a little shaky on that leg. And to be honest, that stoppage, you can make an argument for it being early. It was 7 seconds left in the round. And by no means was Corey Ortiz out or done. He was taking a beating, but he was moving. There's an argument with 7 seconds to let it go to the third.
There's always an argument when a referee steps in and stops the fight. Could the fighter have gone on? Should he have stopped the fight sooner? Whenever a referee steps in and stops a fight, there's always going to be an argument on one side or the other. I think it was a good stoppage. The guy was getting his ass beat. Adrian got the win, and if they would have let it continue, I think Adrian might have. I think Adrian might have got a knockout. So
He gets the TKO victory, but still, that leg, something does not look 100% with the Adrian Cruz we saw in Bellator and the Adrian Cruz we saw in Legacy.
Yeah, it was a little bit different for me to see that, and movement wasn't all there. All around movement was not there. You can clearly see that. I mean, and I'm no coach, trainer, or anything like that, but just watching from the outside in.
do you ever fully recover mentally from a break like that?
I don't know. I mean, Anderson Silva's still trying right now.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he's going through the motions. You don't know.
But here's the thing I do know, and here would be my suggestion to this is Cruz take some time off in the sense of fighting, and let's start rehabbing, let's start building strength back up, because it didn't look like it's 100% at all. And I don't know if it's a mental block or if it is still not healed all the way. I don't know. That's only something Adrian's going to have to look in within himself and decide. But if it is not healed all the way, then work on it. Get it healed. I will say this with Anderson Silva's break, and that's the most comparable we can make. Anderson Silva's was, I assume, a lot worse.
Carlos Condit.
What about
Did he
him?
break his leg?
No.
It was his
Anderson.
knee.
Oh, that's right.
And it wasn't broken. It just
Yeah,
tore
no, it was
some
the torn
ligaments.
ACL.
Yeah.
Torn ACL was Carlos Condit.
So with him, with Anderson Silva, he is doing the lateral movement now. So maybe we got to get back to more strength and conditioning work and less worry about gym and wrestling and this, that, and the other.
And also, wasn't Cruz's break, though, further down towards the ankle,
a little
I
bit
think?
more further down.
So it's a different thing when they're moving on that foot.
The closest you can
Right,
get
so
is
is Anderson.
that, and they were right around the same time. That's why I say this, but it was definitely interesting. Professor Barata de Fritas and Jean Perez.
Barata's first takedown got stuffed, but Perez did the mistake of not circling all the way out. They still stayed in the clinch. They stayed against the fence, exchanged some shots. Barata got the trip. In Gene trying to explode back to his feet, Barata lightning quickly took the back, sank in the choke, and it was all over. This fight had potential for if Gene could have stuffed takedowns, got off that cage, used his boxing to be a good scrap, but Barata went in there like a killer, got the takedown, got it to his realm, and got the finish as fast as it would happen with him on the ground.
I gotta say this much for those Perez guys. They're crazy. They'll take any fight, and you'll always be entertained when they step in that ring.
Yeah, but with Barata, the whole thing with that fight that I saw different. He's not here to please anybody anymore.
He's not playing around. He's not
trying
putting
to
on a
throw
show.
punches. He's not throwing a bunch of little kicks here and there.
He's going to his bread and
He's
butter.
doing exactly what he's known for. I mean, and the lightning quick. Well, that's called the world class level jiu-jitsu.
That's just
Plain
technique
and
and
simple.
repetition.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was amazing
So
to see.
he did his job. He's 7-1. Where does he go from here?
He's 7-1. That builds back up the momentum, and my sources say that he still has a legacy contract. So Legacy and Fresquez have a good relationship. That's how this fight came to be, and he'll go back to Legacy when they have an opportunity for him.
Where are you hoping to see him, though?
A legacy.
Legacy, he's in that level that
he's not there yet. I mean, especially with the win against Gene. Gene's a club fighter. No, like you said, he's very entertaining. Their both brothers are very entertaining. They give it their all. I like them both as guys. They're great dudes. But the truth is, if you want to be at the UFC level, you gotta fight UFC caliber fighters.
And theoretically, like we said, they're both Legacy vets. You've beat a guy that had a Legacy win that segues him back to Legacy. He has that contract, 1 or 2 more wins before the UFC.
Yes. 185.
We had Frank Lester and Muhammad Abdullah. This fight was crazy. Lester started off with hard leg kicks. Abdullah was eating them, starting to get his striking off. Abdullah, in the most awkward way to get on the inside, just said F it and would do flying knees, jumped in, would get on the inside, was struggling back and forth for takedowns. And then the controversy gets in there. Abdullah on the inside. Lester's trying to pummel, and Lester, from my vantage point, I could hear him, and I believe Sal Gomez, our photographer here, heard Lester screaming out, "He's biting my hand." The ref told him to keep fighting. This was a dog fight for 3 rounds. In the third round, Lester got a takedown, moved to half guard, and then we hear, "Stop it, the fight is over," and the ref's waving everything off. One of the officials said they saw Frank Lester biting Muhammad Abdullah. The fight is a disqualification, 130 of the third round, and at that point was probably 2 rounds to looking like that third round could have been Lester's to Abdullah. Who knows how the judges would have saw it, but it was a dog fight for as long as it did happen. Literally a dog fight.
It was a scrap. I saw it 2 rounds to 1, maybe if he would have got possibly the third. But then again, you got those knees to the groin. Frank threw him to Muhammad as well. Muhammad looked great though in there. I was really shocked to see how fast in and out his movement was. Straight punches. He was giving Frank a hell of a time in there for the first 2 rounds, and we'll see what happens. It was a dirty fight. It's hard to be a ref. It's hard to be an official, and if I didn't get to hear that. You guys told me this morning when you guys came in that you heard Frank saying he was biting him on a takedown. That he's telling the ref. I don't know what did you say that you heard the ref say?
The ref said keep fighting, basically.
Just keep fighting.
I didn't see it. Keep fighting.
Yeah, me personally, Frank's a friend of mine, and I try to stay as biased as possible, but
Unbiased.
But I heard that come from Frank 2 or 3 different times throughout the fight. So I don't know if the ref had a hard on for him or whatever, but I know they were biting each other. Because I heard Abdullah's corner as well say he's biting him. So it was back and forth, and I think Frank happened to get caught at the right time at the
deplorable actions on both fighters, biting.
It was a dirty fight
unprofessional
on both sides,
yeah.
And Frank happened to be on the shit end of the stick on that one. But when he's telling the ref, he's biting my hand, and the ref continues to say, "Well, keep fighting." You got to look at that on the official side of things, and I think the fight should have kept on going. If both fighters are going to want to bite, and the ref isn't willing to step in for one party, then he shouldn't step in for the other party.
Well,
let's
make
this
clear. It's the New Mexico State Athletic Commission. They're the rules. They have rules in there, and being that a commissioner who's on the commission, the board, is the one that actually saw it. Rob DeBuck is the one that actually saw it, not the ref. The ref didn't stop it.
The ref did not stop it.
The ref did not see the bite. I was clear on that advantage of seeing that line of sight.
It was from
perfect.
the angle. It was the commissioner who was on that side of the cage, and the ref, if you're imagining, was on the other side of the guys, did not see it, the ref, but the commissioner told the ref, "Stop this fight now," and that's his job.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Listen to his boss.
And well, not only that, it's in the rule set. It's clear as
they're
day.
biting each other.
It's not a street fight at the end of the day. And regardless, the ref should have took control of that situation prior to that happening. If Frank was complaining, Frank should have complained to his corner, to the DIs. The DIs should have got it over to whoever they needed to, the officiating crew, and figure it out from there. But being that the commissioner saw it, how long do you think he's out?
A year.
Frank Lester's probably suspended a year. He announced on Facebook his retirement. I know people from his team have tried to reach out, have him reconsider it. We'll see after the suspension. I don't know if he fights again. Muhammad Abdullah, it would be interesting if we could check out Frank's hands to see if there were bites, if there'd be another suspension coming retroactively, or retrospectively to it. But with a camp, with time, Abdullah at 185 pounds looks like a prospect. Be interested to see him fight again. I wish the best to Frank. I don't think there's going to be a rematch. That'd be hostile territory, but it was a dirty situation. Something to... let's move on to the co-main event because that was awful.
Well, yeah, it was awful, but here's the funniest part of in my experience out sitting in the crowd. I'm in second row, right? So Frank's girlfriend is behind me cheering him on, rightfully so. Love the fact that the girlfriend's there cheering him on. This drunk ass dude, 2 beers, double fisting, fucking chugging his beers, hilarious. the fight gets stopped. She doesn't realize what's going on. She's like, what the fuck's going on? What happened? This is bullshit. Why did we stop? Drunk dude. And he's swerving back and forth in his seat. Looks up and says, "He's hungry, bitch. You should have fed him before the fight." Drunk. And I died. I'm like, how the hell did you come up with this clever ass shit? As drunk as you were, this dude was slurred. He looked like he was gonna pass out with his 2 beers. But he just out of nowhere just comes up and says, I don't even know if she heard him, but we're sitting 2 seats away from him. And I just died. That was the most cleverest shit I've ever heard in my life. He's hungry, bitch. You should have fed him before the fight. And I'm like, this guy's going to get slapped across his mouth. But I don't think she ultimately heard him say it. He said it loud enough, but I think she was so concerned with what was going on. And again, rightfully so, your girlfriend, you take care of your man. The man takes care of the woman. It's the way it works.
Burrito.
So, yeah, but it was just funny. That was the best comment of the night to me, being in the crowd. That made me laugh. And then, honestly, it is what it is. It happens, and bad things like this happen in the sport. It's not surprising. You've seen what at the highest level, Paul Daly
chucking punches afterwards.
Yeah, sucker punch Josh Koscheck. So it's not uncommon.
People lose their minds in the heat of the moment and forget they're martial artists and just become a fighter. We had the co-main event also. Donald Sanchez, Omar, Avila. Like I said, 12 days notice. Avila misses the fight. Fight's supposed to be at 55. He comes in at 64.
Okay, this is my question. Okay, the fight was at 164.
At 155. He came in at 164.
He came in at 164. How tall is this guy?
He looked to be about 5'4". 5'5". He was short. That's how you short
we need to
pudgy
talk to the
dude.
commission about that scale, because that guy looked fatter than me, and he comes in at one whatever Micah said.
No, fight day he probably weighed about 180.
He probably I weighed two.
He looked in bad
I weighed
shape.
230, and the guy looked bigger than me. So he either carries his weight well, or he's got a big cock. One of the two. Because I don't know where he's stashing that weight.
Donald
It's just
Sanchez landed some hard punches. Avila went for a sloppy takedown. He had 3 minutes of fight left in him.
And that's
Sanchez took the back and ground and pounded to the win.
That's all he had was 3 minutes. Did he have a puncher's chance? Yeah, the way he was swinging for that fence.
He was trying for the knockout. This kid had heart. He was coming to fight.
But you know what was cool is Donald kept his composure. Even though, we say, hey, look, Donald didn't perform at his absolute best. It's hard to get up for this kind of fight. It's not the fight you wanted, and he's made that known through CageMinds.com.
I think he held back. He
held back. He didn't want this fight. He didn't train as hard for this fight.
I don't know if he held back. I think he was cautious because this guy, if he connected, he would have put him to sleep.
Right, and that would have been the biggest win of that guy's life.
Because,
that's huge.
Yeah, it would have been gigantic. He did smart. He's a very crafty cage veteran.
He stayed behind his jab, used his kicks.
Watched him. He saw the punches come in instead of making a mistake because that guy was swinging for the fucking fences.
And, 31 wins. Donald's been through a lot of wars. His face shows it. He got cut open off of one punch.
Yeah.
One punch, literally, the scar tissue, it just bleeds when it gets touched.
Oh, yeah. So, but we'll see what happens next.
It's a 2-fight win streak now. I believe 5 of his last 6.
Me personally, on a local level, I want to see Donald Sanchez and Andres Quintana. The reason being, you have Donald Sanchez, who has the high record, who's been fighting for years. Andres Quintana is a guy who went to the Ultimate Fighter House. He wants to be back in there. Well, these are the type of guys you need to fight.
Someone with a name, someone with a record.
You don't fight guys in Colorado.
Second round knockout win, Andres Quintana, Jackson's MMA Series 18 main event.
That was good. Yeah, great win, whatever. But if you want to get noticed, then you got to fight guys like that. And it works both ways. If Donald wants to have a good quality win and keep progressing, Andres is the way to go. And it's the Ultimate Fighter guy. He's been there. That's where you want to be. Make some noise. That's a good match.
But do you build your future on beating somebody that it hasn't really quite made it yet?
He's been in the RFA. He's been in Bellator. I think he's been in Legacy.
Donald Sanchez?
Donald Sanchez.
He's been in ONE FC. He's
MFC.
been the King of the Cage champion, MFC. He's fought everywhere. I don't think it was RFA. Oh, wait, it was RFA.
It was RFA.
Oh, wait, it was RFA.
It was
We were
RFA.
RFA. Legacy. He's fought everywhere, Bellator, except for the UFC. So for Andres, that would be a huge step up. And actually, thinking about this win.
It would be a good fight for Donald to get a good win over an Ultimate Fighter veteran.
And a top young prospect.
Yes.
A name that catapults him back into that UFC radar.
That's what they want, right? That's what they both say they want.
And for Andreas, I would say this Prentice Ingram fight was a good win in essence because Ingram is at least an RFA vet, and it's not Jose Verdugo. Verdugo was that win, a guy that didn't have many fights, took a fight on short notice in your hometown to get you back your feet wet from the ton loss on the Ultimate Fighter, even mentally. Now this win over Ingram is a serious win. I think it's time to step up, like you said, and make that matchup happen on a top level, a big main event here with a guy in your weight class, because I love some of Andres' wins, but they've been against bloated bantamweights.
And it's not trying to be disrespectful to either of them. It's just where they both state they want to be. That makes sense to me.
It makes a storyline, and they're in a collision course. They're on the same road, and you would appear that to get to the same place, you have to be the best in New Mexico before they're going to take you to be in the UFC. Interesting fight if it could happen.
Somebody make it happen if they can. I mean, I don't know if both sides would be willing for it. I'm an advocate for it. I would say, hey, do it. You know what I mean? Make it a main event. Do it in Albuquerque. Donald is a huge draw. You'd have Andres bringing his 75 to 100 people from Roswell up for it. Let's get it done.
Hey, I'm an advocate of at the UFC level. I love Overeem versus Arlovsky.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed we never saw Cormier versus Velasquez. Oh, we beat each other up in the training room enough. Then do it in the cage for us. What's the difference than the training room
You're gonna get
than
paid.
the cage? I mean, make some money doing it. I mean, heck, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, good friends. They play ball against each other. If you guys are professional athletes and this is a professional sport, understand combat sports is a higher stake, but I still think there shouldn't be these trepidations about fighting guys that you once knew or shared a mitt with or something.
Fight of the night
was the main event.
This was what made the card a solid C. I mean, I'll say C minus for the rest of the card, but this, wow. And nobody gave, let's be honest, nobody gave Chevy a chance.
Nobody knew him to give him a chance. He had his wrestling. I said stylistically, the matchup was intriguing.
But I'm saying behind the scenes. Look at the gyms
when he missed weight, also it was, this is not going to be a good deal because he has to push the pace. He has to use his wrestling. And he missed weight by, he was at 53 or 52.4 for a 45 fight. Right there behind the scenes, yeah, a lot of people said he's going to be in detriment in this elevation.
Coaches, gyms didn't even want them claiming their gyms, etc. It was just everything against him possibly, and he went out there and he performed. I told this corner, I said, that was a great fight. To me, it wasn't a loss for him. It was, but it wasn't. It was.
He proved a lot of people wrong.
And Sal gave away the ending before we even told you guys about it. I mean, we didn't even get through the fight. You just said that he lost. I mean, first round, Conrad came out hard, bulldozing in, big hooks got caught, and Bridges with the knockout.
I thought it was over.
Then
it was over.
With his follow-up ground and pound, it looked like he knocked Padilla back into consciousness.
Yeah. I could agree with you if it looked like he knocked him out cold, went on top, woke him back up, and the instincts kicked in for Conrad, being at the camp he's at. You know, he knows how to survive that, and he survived, and it went from there. I mean, it was a good overall fight.
And Bridges, for people that don't know, he was not in the gym 3 months ago training. He got this fight and got back in the gym and prepared for this fight. His mouth was open halfway through the first round. There were a couple times his defense lacked. He thought he was out of range, would drop his hands, ate several left hands on it. And then all of our surprise with Bridges coming in with the wrestler-known background. Padilla put him up against the cage and was really grinding the shit out of him in the second round. In the third round, Padilla got the takedown, elbowing. You see superhero-esque mask, which to Bridges is funny because I know he's a giant comic book guy, and he has like an old Joker kind or a Riddler kind of mask around himself, bloodied, and he's telling the doctors, I can see. Well, I guess there was a cut on his eyelid for fear of the eye. In the third round at 3:24 of the round, the fight was stopped. TKO win for Conrad Padilla, and at that point, in the way the fight was going, I didn't see Bridges getting off his back. Padilla would have won 29-28 anyway, but the stoppage, I think he could have won another minute and a half. Good win for Conrad, but on 6 weeks, Bridges impressed the heck out of everybody, and he's a wanted name now for these gyms that didn't want him.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I if I was him, I'd be motivated. I'd get myself some conditioning, because the truth is that's all he needed that night was his conditioning to get up a little bit more. And I think he could have done some wonders. I've never seen him fight. We've tried to schedule him before when I was doing some promotion and whatnot. But we never got to. He did a lot of his fights, I believe, in Oklahoma.
Where he was born and raised.
And so
that sounds like a country song there.
It was
Oklahoma, where I was born and raised.
it was an eye-opening event, and yeah, absolutely, he's a 145er on the move, and we'll see who would you like to see him fight next.
Well, behind the scenes, backstage, if he can make weight, they were talking about running this one back again because Conrad only gets to fight once a year. So if they could get healed up, if Chevy can make weight, he'd be willing to run it back again because it's been so hard. Here? We're talking rematch if they could both get on their weight just to do it, just because they both had so much fun and hardship of getting fights. Hey, they'd run it back again just to do it.
And I don't see no bad blood between them. I think. No. I think it's awesome. I think the whole
they were hugging, sharing donuts and tamales afterwards.
Conrad even stated Chevy hits hard like a truck.
It's like a Chevy, but I'm Ford Tough.
Yeah, Ford Tough is what he said. And it's good. I saw him backstage. You guys, I believe you took the photos of them hugging, correct?
Yeah, I got some photos of them. That was another photographer, but I definitely got some photos I'll be posting up with them talking afterwards.
I mean, Conrad's barbershop, he was even like, hey, bro, come on in. I'll hook you up with a cut. So no hard feelings. They competed as professionals, and they said they'd be willing to do it again because they both had year layoffs. So if you find someone that wants to party, you do it.
So fight of the night, we all agree.
The main event easily.
KO of the night, in my opinion, was at 170. It was on the amateur side of the card. It was Joseph Chavez versus Craig Carter. And I know it wasn't really a knockout, but as hard as he hit him, it was pretty much close to being a knockout. This kid's only 18 years old.
18.
I thought that was my submission of the night. The way he got the arm trapped, he took advantage of him.
We can say that, too. We can say submission of the night. But then what would you consider a KO of the night?
I'm going to give it to Nate Armstrong, the way he was able to trap Julio Zapata's arm. He punched to the finish, and he didn't punch himself out. And also, just personally knowing, coming off the layoff that he had, that was a good win for Nate Armstrong. Few TKOs on the card, but that was my favorite one of the night.
So then I'll change it. I'll say the same thing. Amateurs win tonight. Saturday night, but they win the fight of the night or submission of the night and TKO
of the night, with our fight of the night being that main event.
Oh, yeah. The rest of the card, like I said, I mean, yeah.
Like I said, Cody Hofstadter, that was a great win for him.
Good win.
Cruz, good to see him win, but he doesn't seem to be all there. Barata, the killer instinct, it's what we wanted to see. And there was the debacle that who knows how to describe that. And then also Donald Sanchez, hopefully we can get him a fight again. Something that piques the interest, something that moves everything forward.
I named it.
Well, for him,
Donald Sanchez versus Andres Quintana, 145.
When you're a fighter that's 5-0 or whatever, and then you look at a fighter like Donald Sanchez and look at his record, do you really want to go up against somebody like Donald Sanchez?
Were you really in the Ultimate Fighter house? Fuck yes.
You can't say, do you want to? You're a fighter. You're a fighter.
That shit.
You can't say that.
Not when you've been at the top and you have a guy with that kind of record. Absolutely, you want those kind of guys. You don't want bullshit at that point. At least if you want to get back to the UFC, you don't want the bullshit pussy fights. You want guys that are at that level. Donald Sanchez is that crafty veteran at that level, right there. Me personally, I don't think the UFC's looking for guys with that kind of record as Donald.
if we're saying what's next for Donald Sanchez, if I'm his management and I'm talking to his management, I'm telling them we're looking at Bellator, we're looking at ONE FC.
Yeah.
That's what you guys need to go do.
Yeah.
Get him back overseas or get him in Bellator. The UFC's not looking for the older fighters. Bellator loves a great show though.
I wouldn't even call him an older fighter. I just say the record, the 31-15.
Sorry,
I just
that
don't,
amount.
15.
Sorry,
I just
that
don't,
amount.
I see them looking for the 5-0. I'm seeing them looking for the 6-1. You know,
And we're criticizing his record, but let's not forget it's a better record than what Chael Sonnen had, and he's challenged in the UFC for 4 title fights.
Absolutely, and I'm not criticizing the record.
Yeah.
Well, I was just throwing that out there for them criticizing it.
No, I'm not criticizing
for
it
them,
one bit.
for the UFC.
I'm just saying their model is the young guns now. Look, they're letting go of Benson Henderson. They're letting go of guys like that.
Re-sign Neil Magny to a big fat contract, I heard.
How many fights?
I have not seen the numbers. I just heard that he did get an extension
But
following
how many
his one.
fights? How many fights does he have as a professional?
Got up near like 22, 23 now because he fought 15 times in the last 2 years. He's been on that Cerrone diet. Mm-hmm. So now he has a bunch of fights under his belt.
But when you're saying the Cerrone diet, was it pretty much all done in the UFC?
It was all done in the UFC. That's why he's homegrown. But that's why I was talking
difference.
about the young guys. He's technically a younger age guy.
Yeah. So that we'll see what happens next for all of these guys. I mean, it's exciting for the winners. You know, I want to see them build. I'm really interested in seeing Cody actually build from there. I want to see what he can do. If he can really do something,
prospect.
It would be very
His
interesting
ground
to
game's
see him.
definitely getting stronger.
Yeah,
Every day.
Well, but at this wrestling, we said it off air. His wrestling looks 1,000 times better. His jiu-jitsu was always on point. It's the actual getting the guy to the ground that was his problem. And
Cody Hofstadter want to fight. I'll set one up with him. We'll give him Derek Pettis. That would be a good fight.
Oh.
145?
145.
Nah, I think Derek Pettis should be at 135. I think that's
one step down.
Yeah, I think Derek should be at 135. I don't think he should be.
He'll take fights as big as 55. So getting him to 45 is a good job.
Pettis will take any fight.
I've seen him fight, and those, like I said, those guys are tough as nails. They will scrap with just about anybody, and it was an interesting.
And then
time.
also, if we're gonna keep it local, real quick for Donald Sanchez throwing one out, Evan Dunham from Fit NHB. That's another guy that has a semi 500 record. Has a lot of fights under his belt. That'd be a good local show fight if we're keeping Donald local.
A lot of different matchups to possibly take place. A lot of fun matchups. I'm just glad I'm not the matchmaker anymore, and I don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
that
I like
kind of
doing this
stuff.
part of the job.
I love this part where I just party and bullshit, and enjoy myself and give my
everybody's friend.
Give my little 2 cents. And I'm not everybody's friend. I know that for a fact. I'm not. Not everybody likes me, and that's okay with me. I'm perfectly okay with not having a lot of friends. Let me tell you that right now. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to actually go over what's going on, plus the big news. We just got it this morning, Jackson's MMA series. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to get everybody's thoughts on the main event in June. It's coming up. Don't touch that dial. This is the DC Life Uncensored.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security, patrol, and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com.
Welcome back. This is the DC Life. I'm your host, Sal Mike Franco, and it's the second segment, which means it's the local. Time to talk local MMA, cageminds.com. We just had the breaking news come through.
Jackson's MMA Series 19, ladies and gentlemen. June 28th, we'll be back up there. Buffalo Thunder Resort and Casino. The main event, Steven Scrappy Du Cervantes and St. Nick Gonzalez. Interesting little fight right there. Nick is a Bellator vet. Cervantes, one of the hottest prospects at 135 pounds, not signed to a major organization. The kid, we've seen his potential in AAA MMA. I know you've seen him up close before, Sal. Great grappling, a wrestling background, an explosive athlete with evolving striking. Nick, been at Jackson's forever. I believe, what did we say? He's a purple belt in their system.
Yeah.
And has a
Should be higher.
hard work ethic. We've seen him. I believe it again, a bad fight for him because I do not want to hear Nick back at 135 pounds. I was hoping we'd see him down at flyweight. I think he's small for the weight class, taking on a big wrestler. He's done that before. We saw him at Bellator against Adrian Cruz. I don't want to count the chips down already, but it's a tough matchup.
It's the old lion versus the young lion. It's a good main event to start it off, though.
It is exciting. Nick does bring the fight. He will not, if he does get taken down, he is not stale on his back. He will be trying things, and he is very scrappy. Been around for a lot of years and has those veteran tricks.
And let the shit talking begin from Steven Cervantes, because the diarrhea that comes out of that guy's mouth on social media is pretty hilarious. It's comparable to Sal Gomez's diarrhea
that comes out to Nick Diaz.
It's pretty comparable. Let me tell you, because
profanity laden and parental advisory for children.
And he jumped, he jumped right into it again right as soon as the fight ended on Saturday night. Started up, on social media talking to all the 135ers, 145ers, saying, "Hey, I'll fight you, I'll fight you, I'll fight you, I'll fight you." He just wants to fight.
He just wants to fight, and I can't blame him. There's a point, I guess, where being nice and being quiet didn't work because it's been a while since we've seen him fight. Got to make a name for yourself, and I guess if you're going to go off the Nick Diaz, just F you kind of train, I guess so. More power to him. He has a fight. We'll see in June how it plays out. I'm excited for this one, obviously. It's going to be an action-packed main event.
The awesome thing about this is, Steven can talk all the shit he wants. Nick's been in there with some very good guys, and he's been around the sport for so long. I don't think you can talk shit to this guy. I don't think you're going to
He's just going to smile back at you and laugh about it like take a chill pill, man.
I don't think you're going to scare him anyway. I don't think you're going to intimidate him in any way. So it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, anything can happen. Again, I feel it's old lion versus young lion. It's a good main event. When is it happening again? June what?
28th.
28th. 28th or 26th?
28th.
Okay. So it'll be at Buffalo Thunder. It's starting off the right way.
Starting off the card the right way. I'm going to get an article up here on cageminds.com hopefully here soon about that. And then also, you got to figure there's going to be a lot of more great announcements coming up. Talking about the local scene, we got to talk about all the stuff that is coming up. The next event that will be at locally, April 16th, Judgment is having a smoker. I know that Austin Lewis is going to be competing for a Muay Thai title belt in the main event there.
That kid's knees are devastating.
And his opponent is Brian, and I'm going to get his last name. I'm going to try to get us interviews with both of those guys. We also got April 23rd in Clovis. There's Art of War MMA. We've got May 6th, Fit NHB back with Battlegrounds, local. The kids, we got Muay Thai, kickboxing, and boxing. May 14th, a triple header. Chaos in Clovis, boxing, Holmes Boxing, supposedly, I believe, said they were going to be doing something.
I think they're doing May 15th.
May 14th, that would be the Saturday.
Right? Yeah.
May 14th. And then also, King of the Cage, we know a lot about them. Resilient is what they're going to be doing. UTE Mountain Casino, that's Cortez, Colorado. That's all May 14th. And then we jump all the way to June 28th with Jackson's MMA series. And I'm hearing rumblings back in May of a May 21st event out at Route 66 Casino, but we're just pumping the rumor mill on that one. Nothing confirmed yet.
Rumors make the world go round. So Ute Mountain Casino, King of the Cage. If you get to drive out there and watch, if I'm not mistaken, and if it's been a while since they've done one there, they have an outdoor stadium. It's beautiful, and believe it or not, it's in the middle of nowhere. But people come out to watch this event, It's a different crowd. It's southern Colorado, northern New Mexico, and they come out. If they do it outside, if they do it inside in the bingo hall, it's packed anyways. Good fights. Casino's decent. I mean, it's small, but it's a good overall
but
show.
you don't want to compete against those old ladies for the seats, right?
Yeah, they fight with you a little bit. They'll throw your ass to the floor.
They'll throw their trolls at you.
Yeah.
The card is featuring Cortez, Colorado's own Joey Trevino. I also Amanda Lovato is going to be on there from Fed NHB. And in the main event, Steve Hanna. Also check out CageMinds.com for more details on that event.
Yeah, so hopefully it's outdoors because it's a May card. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sight to see. You're in the mountains. If you get a chance, take a little vacation. I suggest going out there and watching it. It's pretty cool.
What,
And I know we're talking local.
right?
Yeah, about 4 or 5
3.5,
hours.
I think it said.
Yeah. Well, if you get pulled over, you know.
Maybe we should all do a road trip.
Possibly.
That depends if you're in Clovis or not for Chaos in Clovis.
That's not on the same day.
Yes, it is. It's the same
You
day.
have 3 shows that day.
That's a triple header day. There are 3 shows. And then also, it's actually, what would you call 5 events in one day?
I don't know.
Because you also have Bellator 154 and UFC 198. Those are the national shows. The same night on TV.
Wow.
So
Action-packed combat sports night. We're going to be busy.
we're going to be busy covering a lot of stuff. We're all going to be somewhere.
2-hour special.
On that week following, we may have to go overtime just to give you guys all the results. We don't have any results. Oh, yeah, also coming up locally, April 30th, not locally for us, but Southern Colorado again, Pueblo, Colorado, Rubicon 2. We're going to have Adam Martinez in the main event against Jackson Wink fighter Andrew Tennyson.
That's going to be awesome.
Tennyson coming off his first career loss at RFA. I know he wants to jump back in there. Both these guys get a lot done in the first round. And we get a lot done here thanks to our sponsors. We got the Fight Shop New Mexico and International Strategic Partners. Visit them at callisp.com.
Is that it for this week's?
Is that it for everything? What do we have going on nationally? Oh, one thing I did want to touch bases on.
Let's not talk about wrestling.
No, we forgot. The guy that's making headlines and everybody starts writing about him.
We did not talk about Jon Jones.
Jon Jones, bitch.
Jon Jones' biggest opponent is Bones.
Yeah, and I've said that multiple times. You know, it's funny because everybody says, you know, they say, oh, if you could make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I'm talking about New York. Well, let me tell you, the Duke City is eating him alive.
You know, did you guys honestly watch the whole video, though?
I have not watched the video at all. I thought he had a suspended license, and I didn't know he could be behind the wheel, case point, and period first thing.
I watched the whole video. I actually sat down, and I watched the whole video. And honestly, I think APD just has a hard-on for him at this point. Jones did make a personal... Are you
kissing ass?
No. I watched the whole video, and I watched Jones make a derogatory comment towards the police officer, and the cop said, you know what, I feel that way about you too. So when he said that, he's basically admitting that he pulled him over on a personal level, not on a professional level, but on a personal level. When the cop admitted, I feel that way about you too, he made it personal. So I will dispute this. I will stand by Jon Jones on this one. I will dispute it. Why didn't he pull over the Cadillac as well? I mean, there's a lot of questions here. I mean, I think Jon Jones would have got pulled over if he would have revved the engine of a smart car at this point. It's just, you know, if he was sitting in a minivan and revved the engine, he would have got pulled over. These cops have a hard-on for Jon Jones.
So then the question is, should he get out of here?
I think if people just left him alone...
That's not going to happen anymore. After you say what you say to cops, let me tell you, that's not going to happen. I don't care what you say. You're in the wrong state, buddy.
Right, but like I said, that cop did make personal comments, and it was like, "Fuck, there's Jon Jones. I'm going to pull his ass over, and I'm going to give him a hard time."
You think he really knew it was him?
Yeah, you can't miss that car. You cannot miss that car.
I just still think it's amazing that Jon Jones can work as hard as he does in the gym and still go out and have this nightlife and these night endeavors. Half these dudes I know are going home and going to bed at like 8. They are tired. They are working and grinding throughout the day.
Top level, and your body can. I mean, The guy
There's not a lot of guys that can do that.
No.
There's not a lot of guys.
I just
that can
don't want to get
turn
back to
around
the
and
part.
do that.
Is his license suspended or not? I thought it was.
I don't believe it is. I think he got that taken care
Here's
of.
the other thing. When you're on paper, I mean, because yes, I've been in trouble quite a few times back in my past. When you're on paper, the moment Jon Jones got pulled over, and that cop knows he's on probation, that cop has the authorization to call his probation officer right then and there,
Violate him right
and
then.
violate him. And the probation officer should have said, arrest him right then and there. So that cop knew he was on paper. That cop knew he was on probation. That cop should have called his probation officer legally and notified the probation officer, and the probation officer should have said, arrest him.
Yeah.
But instead, the cop let him go with 5 bullshit citations to begin with, and let him go knowing that he was probably going to be violated the next day, just to be a douchebag.
I think it was smart on his end or his people's end, who had the PR firm that they hired, because there is a PR firm that they hired that's is supposedly doing PR work for him. I believe he was advised to go on Ariel Helwani's show at the MMA Hour and give his point of view, give his perspective before they just show headlines saying Jon Jones arrested again.
They're going on the attack at this point because they're tired of Jon Jones being trashed.
That was the smart part of it. You know what? He brought it all on himself. At the end of the day, you brought from the wreck in New York to the
Hit and run down here.
DWI here. I mean the hit and run or hit. Actually, it was a DWI, right, in New York.
The New York, believe it's just
DWI.
It was. He got it there. Then he came here and did whatever he did and ran away from the scene. And I hear he hid in a hotel, for the night, which is smart. A couple nights, clear your system of whatever you may or may not have in your system. Because absolutely you don't want to get in trouble. Very, very smart on that end.
And again,
But you're
either
doing
way,
it to yourself.
he doesn't stay
Why?
at home. He's out at night.
Yeah.
He is not staying out of trouble.
But you should be able to drive without worrying about getting pulled over.
But knowing that you got this big fight ahead, and we got to talk about that fight because of the change, but knowing that you got this fight ahead, knowing that you're making millions of dollars, you're not the average Joe, you're not the average Joe, and you still go out.
He got pulled over on Broadway, right?
You're seeking out trouble by staying out at night.
He got pulled over on Broadway. That means he was leaving the gym.
Possibly. Could have been downtown eating.
I don't know, but when...
I know they all go out eating, and I'm not saying you can't go out at night, but pick and choose your battles is what I'm saying.
But
Be smart
I think at this
about
point,
it.
he's tired. It's like, you're getting bashed, and finally you're like, look, I'm actually doing something legitimate here, and he just lost it.
And rightfully so, absolutely. But again, if you're bringing that kind of attention to yourself, one, get rid of that car.
Get rid of that car.
Two, get
get a smart car,
Two,
Jones.
get a driver. Because you have the money to afford a driver. Have them drive you around. You want to be out all night? Fine. Get you a fucking driver.
Conrad Padilla.
You're a multimillionaire.
You should apply for the driver's position.
You are a multimillionaire. You can afford a driver. Get you a driver. Once the sun goes down, that driver has to be there. That's their job. The sun goes down, they're in the driver's seat. They're driving you around town. That's the way it works. Sun comes up, you can drive yourself anywhere you want to go. You have to play the game. Unfortunately, he's in the system. You said you've gotten in trouble. You know you have to play a game. You know there's a game.
You've got to play it safe, and he knows this is over his head.
You are basically avoiding becoming the victim of the system.
Are you telling me because I'm Jon Jones and because I can drive wherever I want and I can do whatever I want, I shouldn't have to get a driver? That you're above the law?
You shouldn't have to get a driver.
And you're willing to throw away that money. To me, it would motivate me to stay away.
Hey, it's Jon Jones. He's got in trouble. He's the target. The cops are targeting. That's a better reason to get a driver to take that target away.
Let's say he was at the gym. He shouldn't have to worry about driving from home to the gym, and he shouldn't have to worry about driving from the gym to home for getting harassed by the police.
Well, he shouldn't have gotten 2 major car accidents and ran from police either.
Yeah.
So to each his own. And if you're a target now by the police out here, because you have
Protect
a noticeable
yourself.
car and a noticeable record, you do the extra precautions then to avoid these situations to protect yourself.
I would. That would be just me looking at it. You know, I'd get a Jeep.
Something
And
has to change just so
and
that
I
we
can't go
stop
over
seeing his
65 miles an
name
You know what I mean?
in the news.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, sun goes down, I got a driver.
Jon Jones
sun
on a
goes up,
moped?
I'm driving.
Jon Jones on a moped?
No,
That'd be hilarious.
let's not do that because I don't want him to fall off. And other New Mexico drivers are that stupid where they'll run him over. So not saying on purpose, but because New Mexico drivers don't know how to drive, and they don't see the motorcycles, they don't see mopeds and stuff like that. So that's my point on that. Let's go to the main event for UFC. What is it?
197. We have a DC, a disappearing champion. As all of a sudden there's an injury. Jon Jones gets in trouble. And the only thing, it was quite surprising that Cormier was not more forthright with ripping his mortal enemy for his newest transgression. Oh, we know why, because he was at the doctor's and he was contemplating having to chicken out. So he's like, no matter how much trouble this guy goes in, I'm still not showing up to the cage.
Disappearing champion.
A couple days before that, there was reports that he was really, really hurt. I guess he was at a wrestling tournament.
Yeah,
trying to walk around, and he couldn't really.
Some kind of leg injury. We don't know how bad it is. But we
I don't know,
4 to 6 weeks recovery
if you're
time.
playing
now.
injury, you have to play it 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right, and he's playing the game, and he's hanging on to Jon's title a little bit longer. As long as Jon can stay out of trouble, Jon's the champion. Plain and simple. I will never doubt his talent inside the cage. It's his outside the cage life that is so destructive.
If you watch, going back to that first fight, Cormier was just
he got his.
overwhelmed.
I rewatched it. I rewatched
Just
it right here
walking to
on,
the cage, he
on
was
UFC
defeated.
Fight Pass. I rewatched it just to see
He
it.
was
I
defeated.
said, Jon kicked his ass all over the place. You have Javier Mendez telling him, "Do you really want this fight? Do you want this title? You got to get out there and fight." And Jon's gonna fucking kick his ass within 2 rounds. I think Jon finishes.
So I think Cormier is looking back and saying, and remembering that feeling of walking to that cage defeated.
And
So
then,
I don't think he wants to lose that belt.
The announcement.
and now we have, due to fate, due to injuries, due to people already being booked, UFC 197 main event, interim light heavyweight title fight, Jon Bones Jones against Ovin St. Preux. And I will tell you, the first thought that came to my head was, I never thought Ovin St. Preux would get to the point where we were giving him a world title
So this
shot.
is an interim.
This
world
is an
title.
interim world title. There will be a belt around someone's waist, and a guy that's coming off of getting submitted by Glover Teixeira and showing no ground game is now going to go play with Bones.
Well, and here's the rundown. Daniel Cormier injured. Jon Jones, he's ready to fight, right? Anthony Johnson, he's not medically cleared. Alexander Gustafsson needs a full camp, is what these excuses are. Glover Teixeira, booked. Ryan Bader, medically suspended still. Then you go down to OSP, he's fight ready. Rashad Evans, right underneath him, booked. Shogun, booked.
And there's your top 10.
So there you go. So they had their top 10. That's the only option they really, truly had. So everybody that's bitching about this, that's the only option they could do.
So how long?
Or I guess he could have moved up to heavyweight and made a fun fight.
That would've been awesome.
They possibly could have done that. Who knows? So we're going to have that interim title fight. And then 4 to 6 weeks later, Cormier is going to be ready. So you would say
UFC
then
200.
12 weeks
Champion
later?
versus champion. That's what I think it's going to be.
How
Because they
long
need
should
they need a
like-
real main event for that.
They do.
That is not the main event that everybody really wants. There was grumblings. There's blowback. There's everything. Everybody was not as happy as I guess the UFC thought that it was going to be with the announcement of what is it, Diaz and McGregor?
Diaz, McGregor, too.
At
Who cares?
170. Like really,
no
nobody
one cares. We
nobody
know that's
gives a
not their
shit.
weight class. It should be at
And
55.
you're gonna give Diaz a full camp. He's gonna fucking blow through him even faster this time.
I can't wait for Aldo Edgar though. That's gonna be a fun fight.
That'll be a fun fight, but
card.
it's not gonna be a draw. It's not gonna have people buying pay-per-views.
And we're still talking about more title fights. Let's run down it again. You still have a possibility of Eddie Alvarez and Rafael Dos Anjos getting thrown in there.
God,
you still got a possibility of Lawler Condit 2 or Lawler Woodley 1. Because I don't think we're going to get a GSP sighting as we all hope for.
No, I really think I think Diaz hit the nail on the head when he said that he ruined that. Now, because GSP never comes to fight. He's not a fight fan. He doesn't sit there watching them.
There was a reason
why he was there, and it wasn't that big of a main event. It didn't dawn on me at all to that, but it's an easy fight for him to come back to. It'll be a huge draw because especially if he won. Well, he won at 170. He could take on the former champion. Because everybody knows Robbie Lawler would have blew through him and fucking punched a hole through the back of his head. It would have been like Superman dying at the end of the movie, just getting stabbed through the heart.
Superman dies at the end of the movie?
Oh, yeah, he dies at the end of the movie. Batman fucking forever.
I hadn't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, thanks, Sal.
Well, he died. You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen
Solo dies?
I told you I'm just about to go see Deadpool.
Han Solo dies?
I know.
Fuck you for that one. I still haven't seen that one either.
Are you serious?
I don't go to the movies. I watch fights.
I sent you the link.
Goodness.
Yes, if you'd like to watch movies online, contact Sal Gomez, please.
Yeah, that is not...
Cage Minds has nothing to do with that.
Nothing
The Fight
to do
Shop
with that
ISP.
at all.
That is all Sal Gomez.
I don't know what the heck that noise was. So, what do you think about the main event? I mean, I know you touched on it. You think it's going to be over pretty quick?
UFC 200?
No. The next UFC 197, Jon Jones.
Oh, he's going to submit him like a hot knife through butter.
Wow.
Interim title champion. They run it back to UFC 200. They both hate each other. They both really have legit heat against each other. They don't like each other.
Let's say this. Let's say, how long does Dana White give Cormier?
They said 4 to 6.
4 to 6 weeks.
For injury.
Let's say Cormier re-injures himself. How much legitimate time should Dana White give Cormier before he says, you know what, I've had enough, I'm stripping you of the belt?
Oh, man, he just got injured. They're giving him at least a year. If they're totally stripping him, it's a year.
And you got to also understand, this guy doesn't have a track record of pulling out of fights or being injured either.
Or being injury-prone.
All the way to Strikeforce.
I think the biggest that he had was, didn't he break his hand in the Josh Barnett fight and it delayed his UFC debut? But that was really
But how can you call that a injury in the sense of, hey,
everyone breaks their head.
I smashed it on a guy's head that I was fighting for a title, and I broke my hand.
So this is just, the UFC looked at it and said, Mighty Mouse, not in your wildest dreams do you have the swag to, the clout to put on a pay-per-view of your own caliber. We got to save this. Jon Jones is still on the card. Ovin St. Preux, here's a big chance for you. But I think he's going to get in there with a guy his own size because they're both bigger athletes, and St. Preux's going to get thrown around like he's never been thrown around before.
How crazy is it if OSP knocks him out?
Then we have OSP versus Cormier, and I'm totally wrong.
What in the world would that...
That's bigger than Holly Holm beating Ronda Rousey.
That would be mind-blowing for a lot of people.
Mind-blowing. Especially just the way OSP looked against Glover Teixeira.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, shit. Hell has a better chance of freezing over than that happening. And that's again, I do not like Jon Jones. I know people think that I hate him. I don't. It's not that I don't like him. It's that the actions outside the cage are going to affect how talented he is inside the cage, and that's what I don't like. I'm like, it's so frustrating.
If he can get himself under control, he could be the greatest fighting talent we've ever seen.
This dude can be 2 division champion. He could do things. He could fight both titles in one night. And sometimes I'm
Chrissy Cyborg. What about that?
Yeah. We touched on it.
We touched on that last week. She's coming over. Leslie Smith, most impressive. Leslie Smith, I'm the only one willing to fight her. And that all really stems from the UFC has not actually announced when Miesha Tate's defending her title. Supposedly Miesha Tate's ready. Ronda has already stated the end of the year. Yeah. So talking about UFC 200, Miesha Tate Holly Holm rematch, or if there is really this rift between Fresquez and they're not able to get anything done with Dana White, and Dana White's able to jump over Fertitta and stick him, maybe Amanda Nunes gets her title shot. But
no, I think it's. I really believe what's happening is it has not. Again, Holly's never ducked anybody. If you saw the woman that she had to fight in boxing, that put her through the ropes the first time, that lady was a huge lady.
This is a business decision to get back into the title opportunity.
Cyborg isn't gonna scare her. I'm telling you right now. Holly's not afraid. If again, after the ass kicking she took in that boxing ring, that was scary. That was some scary blows that she took. Man blows. This lady was huge. When I met up with that, Cyborg is not that big of a girl. I know everybody says that she's big. Tall-wise, she's not. She's really not. She's around Holly's size. Holly's not even that big to me either. Like, tall. The girl that Holly fought in boxing that put her through the ropes and then to come back and beat her, there's no girl in the UFC that scares Holly. I really, truly believe that. So as much as Dana White's saying, oh, well, she turned down the fight, you're a fucking idiot. You're a
business
buffoon.
decision.
You're stupid. What they want is they want Misha or they want Ronda. Plain and simple. That's what they want. Are they going to get it? I think they're going to get the Tate rematch. I really think that's going to happen, and then the winner's going to fight in November, December in New York.
Didn't I keep telling you all along that there would be 2 title fights before Ronda got her rematch?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be 2 titles. Well,
because see, the Tate was one. There'll be one more. I told you. I kept telling everybody.
I think this love triangle is going to stay for a while because I think Holly wins the next one. Then they fight Ronda and Holly. Holly beats her 10 times out of 10. She just has the style for it. It's fact.
And then Misha Ronda.
And then
3?
No, I think it's going to be Misha Holly.
Holly 3.
Because now she's got to give her rematch as champion. And then you'll see the other girls start coming up.
So do you think they're going to milk this golden calf for a while?
Why wouldn't they?
They're going to try to go around in a circle.
It's business. And I'm hearing that, ESPN is going to make a big push to take the UFC.
From Fox.
Absolutely. They're seeing what kind of numbers they're drawing for Fox. Fox is their competition, and they're drawing those kind of numbers on their... Imagine what they would do with a bigger audience.
Like I said, I can't wait for UFC Fight Night on ABC, throwing it back to Wide World of Sports back in the day.
And like I told you, they're going to throw it back to the 70s when Sugar Ray Leonard used to fight on ABC. And they're going to do...
Saturday nights and Friday nights.
But the intro, we'll have that first... And then they'll blow in through the new generation of fighting, of combat sports, and they'll have the UFC play through it.
Do you think the signing in New York is making that effect?
I think it's numbers.
They're seeing the outreach, the pay-per-view buys.
Recognizing the
New York. New York is nice. It's a good little bit of icing. An extra layer of icing, but you're talking numbers. I don't think ESPN, I don't think Fox, I don't think Viacom, I don't think any of these channels give a shit where these fights take place. I think they could take place in a barn, and if they get 1.5 million views, if they get 2 million views every time out, that's what they care about, because then they could go and get advertising money and generate a lot more cash for their network that way.
And we're supposed to be getting done, but I had another topic to throw at you guys. Don't know if you've seen this coming up, but Elite Striking Challenge. There's a new promotion. They're starting out Davenport, Iowa. The end of May, they're going to throw their first event. They want to go back to martial arts. But for those people who don't like the wrestling, the judo, and the jiu-jitsu, this is going to be Striking Challenge. In a cage, all goes. They're getting together.
Like
karate versus Muay Thai, kickboxing versus Sun Shao. They're going on that kind of basis. What do you guys think of someone taking out the grappling in the cage?
Where's this going to be?
In Davenport, Iowa.
That Iowa commission, man. They'll let anything happen. I don't like it. We've already seen that. UFC 1, we've seen it. We saw style versus style, and eventually it evolved into mixed martial arts.
But those style versus style, that was fun to watch, man.
Well, let's see what happens
kung
with the
fu
striking
guy bouncing
aspect.
around.
Is it that fun? Because if you go back and you watch UFC 1, it's like watching paint dry. It's the truth.
Gracie?
It is fucking boring. Because you see these guys don't know nothing. And it's like, it's frustrating. It is beyond frustrating to watch these guys not know how to get out of mount, not know how to get out of simple baby positions. We've evolved so far in this that I wouldn't want to see that.
Let me
it's
take
just
a
gonna
quick
be a
drink of my
striking-
nitro cold brew coffee.
Yeah.
Just the striking aspect. Depending on what they charge for that pay-per-view, if it's $10, I would throw it down just
I'll
to
throw
watch
down
the
$10
first,
to watch it.
just to see the first event, how stagnant the striking is, how awkward it was, and then I'll go from there. Because even one of their fights that they were promoting, it's to be karate versus boxing. How does the boxer do with that? We'll see. Obviously, I don't believe they're gonna.
What level
Exactly.
boxer is going to go in there? What level of karate, truly karate guys are going to go in there? Because there's some legit karate guys. But then,
Shogun Hua?
but then you got, you
mean Machida?
yeah.
Machida.
But then you got guys, McDojo guys that just aren't there. They say they're black belts, but it's bullshit.
And they pronounce it karate.
It's a wide world of combat sports.
So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I won't even throw down $10. I have better things to do with my time.
Not even 10
Man,
Too
I watched the
excited.
Your Fight thing that they had in
I know.
Arizona.
And I let you tell me about it, so I let you tell me about this event. It's
I'm open-minded here, people.
I do understand why they went to Iowa. They're a little iffy, just like the Texas Commission. Let me tell you, everybody says that New Mexico has a shit commission, the Powhatan Athletic Commission. Go fight at these other states, and you will see, like the newer commissions, when the promoter becomes the head of the commission, something's wrong for the night.
And I hope everyone in that takes it with a grain of salt that we're going to get to go to New York to watch combat sports, because there's going to be some atrocious decisions because they're not going to know what they're watching, supposedly, to start out.
I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to bring in a lot of New Jersey, because New Jersey has a lot of experience
Right.
with mixed martial arts. I think they're going to bring in a lot of the New Jersey refs and whatnot.
Not to mention that's where all the overflood went from New York
Yeah.
anyway in the first place, so they have tons of mainstream promotions up there.
New York, New Jersey anyway, isn't it? Their commission?
Oh,
No, this is
they'll
going to be two separate for this
They'll be
athletic
very
commission.
two separate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a New York commission. Plus, New York makes you do head exams, like they do full scans on boxers.
Extensive workup.
So it's going to be hard to fight there too. It's hard for a lot of guys to get that. I mean, the paperwork is thick for New York, like the background and everything else. In the sense of the medicals alone are kind of crazy. That some of these guys may find out they can't even fight there.
Oh, and I want to touch on something else. I just thought of. We were talking about UFC 197, and this is just a haha and a coup for me. CageMinds.com about 5 weeks ago reported Cody Freight Train East making his debut against Walt Harris. Well, MMA Junkie, ShareDog, all those big sites finally caught up to me today, and they're putting that article up too as well now, 5 weeks later.
So
Ha ha.
CageMinds.com, check it out. You can see all the info. You get national, you get local, you get everything in between. You get the fun, wild fights that I don't agree with, but hey, Micah loves it.
Anything I can find, I'm reporting on.
You sprinkle a little bit of wrestling, WWE wrestling in there every once in a while too, and you never know. You have a good night, but hey, it's whatever. Anything else you want to touch on before we go?
Enjoy the fights this week, and I'm sure there's something that we can find to do.
Sal Gomez, where can we find your photos?
Facebook.com/Gomez PhotoWorks.
Oh, yeah, this Sunday in the morning, it's Junior Dos Santos, Ben Rothwell, UFC Fight Pass.
That's it for this week's edition of the DC Life Uncensored. We record live every week inside the Fight Shop, New Mexico at 6200 Coors Boulevard, Northwest, Suite A4. Come check out the shop. We got gear, we got shorts, we got everything you need. Also, Micah,
And big thanks, as always, to our sponsor, International Strategic Partners.
we'll see you next week.